Namaste, nerds. This is Navinad, your budget pub stomper, and today we're doing something totally different, totally unique. I don't know if you'd say I have a guest or he has a guest, but we are guest. We're guesting each other's channels, and this is Chris. Yeah, Chris, would you mind kind of letting the nerds know who you are and what you're about?
Okay, so I'm Chris. I am the lead on a channel that's called The Turning Point Meta. We are all about turning the point, and really the biggest one that we hit on is from EDH to cEdh and trying to make that gap a little bit easier. We've all started on EDH and just like, I got a competitive itch and I just want to help other bros get to where I'm at. That's about it. So we just talk about the basics, and we're slowly going into hopefully some politics and some more deeper topics soon enough.
Yeah, that's awesome. That definitely resonates with me. I don't think that's we're going about it in different ways, but that's not too far off from kind of my little mission statement either. So very cool. And
Absolutely.
everybody on my Discord knows that I enjoy your content. I've put some of your videos up there, and it's gotten a pretty good reception. I don't have a huge batch in the Discord yet, but it's growing. You know, it's growing all the time.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's cool. It's to me, it seems like you're coming from a place of like trying to, like you said, kind of bridge the gap from casual to cEdh, just by giving people
Yes.
information and kind of compare and contrast. This is what you do in casual, but it's different here in this way, and this for this reason in cEdh. And what I'm doing is not so far from that, but I'm actually trying to use budget competitive as the bridge, you know. But it's the
Sure.
same idea in a way, you know.
Yeah, getting people into the format that we love in the best way that we think is possible. And I really enjoy your budget aspect of it. I know, like, we've talked a couple different times, like, I would love to be part of a tournament of budget. Like, it's the brewer in me. Some of my other co-hosts are really big into brewing,
Yep.
and they're a lot better at me than me. So it's just like kind of like one of those, those itches. It's kind of like how the competitive scene is right now with the recent bans. It has opened up
Yep.
everything. It's like,
Yep.
I want to play this jank, and I want to play that jank, and I want to play this jank, and I want to also figure out what's meta. With you, what would you consider is like the meta of the budget brew $100?
Okay, so that is something that is still definitely developing, but I would say that there's a few mainstays, right? There's some that are just obviously like if you were gonna put a tier list together, there's some that I think if you took maybe like the most the 20 most prolific deck builders in that $100 space, I bet you at least most of them would tell you that S tier is gonna be like some of the turbo mono green decks like Marwyn and Silvala. Maybe even this new
Okay.
guy, this Dionys or whatever, the new one that just came out, that might get there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it looks like it could. And then a lot of the Malcolm decks, you know, and I don't know if that's because they're inherently good, or if it's just because that's the stuff I started with. So I've got tons and tons of time on it, so I sort of maybe just made them good. But even there's another channel. Well, the guy doesn't really make content anymore, but they still have a Discord. But Timmy T 2000, shout out to Timmy T. He's one of the like original guys on the, as far as I know, the first place you could play cEdh online was the Nexus. And he started this budget thing with kind of the same idea you and I had of just getting people into the format, you know. And
Awesome.
he also came to the conclusion that Malcolm, now in their view, he and his kind of buddies over there, in their view, it's Malcolm Tana, even at $100. I disagree with that, but you know, could be wrong. But in any case, the Malcolm decks and Kinnan and maybe like so you might see a trend here. The trend that I've noticed is mana engines. The bottleneck is mana.
Yes.
So if you've got a powerful mana engine in the command zone, there's a pretty good chance that that's going to be a useful, you know, commander and budget. So Kinnan, Magda, some of the lately, since Golgari's been getting so many good reprints, the Hulk decks have gotten really good. Some of those are just, and even
Sure.
like there's even ways now to make really effective $100 frog decks. What's this Gitrog monster? And for a long time, that was
It's
undoable.
disgusting, yeah.
Yeah. So some of those I would say would be
Hmm.
like the meta decks, and then there's it's such a wide open, kind of like cEdh is right now. It's so wide open that I don't know that I've ever sat down and played in a budget game and had a guy that's playing the same deck that I'm playing, and or even the same commanders. So it's like it's way
Yeah.
wide open. But I would say the mana engines. Yeah, the mana
Okay.
engines.
I think that's reminiscent of how I feel about cEdh right now. You think about like Rogsai, one of the most turbo decks. What axis does it really go on? It explodes with mana. Thrasios, Rog, right? Also a bunch of mana. Kinnan, once again, bunch of mana. Malcolm, once again, it works on A plus B combo with your commander plus also mana. So it seemed green right now is better because of it. So it definitely seems like that axis of what thing can make the most mana to then be able to pump out stuff. One deck that I'm kind of looking at that's quite interesting is Zuladoc. We talked
Zuladoc.
about it the other week.
Oh, that's the colorless guy, right?
Yes, yes.
Crazy.
So everything is just make a bunch of mana. So
Sure.
once again, and then play my 10 drop that might affect it. I was looking at it, and obviously, like Platinum Angel isn't heavily played, but then again, it turns the deck. It's a 7-drop CMC. Cool. You play your Thassa's Oracle. You're not winning the game because I have this card to bounce this thing and then try to win the game. It's kind of it's funny. It's once again, just like with you, like there's new ideas and there's
Yeah.
interesting things that I want to try out.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk a little bit about like your channel, what you're trying to accomplish, a little tit for tat for what we talked about with me a little bit?
Yeah, sure, just a little bit. So mostly what I'm bringing are deck techs, and I'm trying to myself and some of the guys on the Discord, some people I know, even just in my locals, play $100 max. We call it either hundo max or budget competitive, however you want to call it. But we're trying to build the most competitive decks that we can at that real tiny budget. And the people that I'm playing with and brewing with have become, I would say, honestly, artists. Like you wouldn't believe how close these decks are to cEdh decks at $100. I mean, it's just you just can't believe
Nice.
that these decks are consistently putting up like turn 4 win attempts and sometimes sooner. But so that's what I'm doing is I'm trying to bring those decks to people and kind of show them what the commander does and why it's a good choice and why it's good for budget, and show them how to take that next step, the step between casual and cEdh. And while I'm in the process, or have been in the process of doing that, I figured something out that was unexpected. Is the $100 thing is amazing in and of itself. And so where it was
Yeah.
originally just a stepping stone, I meant it as a stepping stone. And to give people tools, this was, if you went back to my very first video, you'd find that what I was putting the video content out for was for people that maybe didn't have huge wallets, great jobs, but they're at a LGS where it's not proxy friendly. And so I wanted to give them tools to not just be able to rival the LGS money piles, casual, high power money piles, but to actually kind of pub stomp them, on $100. And so
Sure.
that was the kind of original thing. But it turns out that $100 budget competitive is just a very cool way to play the game. You don't have like the time, you don't go to time, you don't have like 90-minute games where people hide behind heuristic studies and free interaction because you just don't have enough of it. But at the same time, you don't have the non-games where everybody spent more time sorting their mulligans, resolving mulligans, than playing the game. It's like every game goes between 3 and like 8 turns. So to me, it's a sweet spot, and it's a brewer's paradise. Because it's going to be hard for you to net deck. If you have an idea for a deck, you're going to have to do it yourself. So I think it ended up being kind of a place to actually camp out rather than just a stepping stone. So that's what I'm bringing. I'm bringing
That's
content about that. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's a unique little thing. Actually, so the Department of the Air Force actually has a gaming league for Magic. They have a Discord, all at Fun Jazz. They have an interesting, and I might have to hit you up about this and share with you the. I've been checking it out a little bit, so maybe I don't know, but it's quite it's mostly just blue-black got nerfed entirely. So I'm like, cool, a lot of tutors, a lot of counters and things like that. So I'm like, it's its own little niche, kind of thing. So I might hit you up about that. It's intriguing for sure. Awesome. I'm so glad that we're like so like-minded, but we're not in the same like space where like you're clamoring for this and you're clamoring for that. Like you're not going over cEdh deck techs and what happened this weekend. You're all about like, cool, what's going on right here. It's super interesting. We kind of are birds of a feather.
Yeah.
I suppose you would say with Malcolm. I kind of like I called it since the very beginning. I'm like, I believe Malcolm is going to be an insanely good deck. It's one incredibly cheap card, and then blue-red, and then what else fits in there. I actually pulled a budget version that I'm going to share with you. It's a $15 deck.
A what?
It's $15 apparently.
$15?
No, it's actually 41.
Okay, well, close enough.
But we'll see. We'll see if did I send it to you? Let's see.
Now we're gonna see if I can figure out how to operate a computer.
We shall see. You and me both.
Okay, I've got you
Discord.
open here. I don't see it.
1 second, I'll send it over.
I was half expecting to lose the call when I tried to click this Discord open.
Okay, here we go. And there we go. Okay, that should be yeah.
Okay.
So it says it's a $15 budget version. I don't know about that. So once again, it's like $45. We can put it up. We can just look through it together if you'd like. I also have your version of the budget version, or you can share it with me and go over it. But like, if someone's trying to get into Malcolm, budget-wise, or even just like beginning, like what are there's so many different pairs that you can have with Malcolm.
Yeah.
There's Malcolm Tana, there's Malcolm Vile, there's Malcolm Kediss, there's Malcolm Himna. Like, which one would you really recommend for someone like starting off? So as far as the different pairs that you could play,
in my opinion, it's going to depend a little bit on the budget. So
okay,
I think if we're $100 or under, I would recommend Malcolm Kediss. And there's a couple main reasons for that. A few, I guess, is number one, I mean, it's going to be a value engine in the command zone. We're going to have that. That's going to be the same with all the Malcolm decks. But with Malcolm Kediss, staying in 2 colors kind of reduces the expense of the deck just because you don't have to jam a bunch of expensive dual lands. So that helps a lot. And the way that deck wants to be built is using just a bunch of draft chaff that has never even sniffed competitive play in any other format. Like, that's what the deck wants you to play. So it ends up being a very inexpensive way to play. And I would say one of the big things you'll notice and you'll feel the lack of when you go from cEdh to budget is lack of free interaction and fast mana. But if you think about what free counter spells are actually there for, it's to allow you to develop your own game plan, get that going, without going shields down, right? So you can actually do stuff on your turn and kind of more or less spend a bunch of mana, but not have to worry that you're going to lose the game because you tapped out. Well, Malcolm Kediss sort of fills that void in 2 ways. One, you're still able to do all the stuff you want to do, and then when you go to combat, you're making 3 treasures, so that you're still able to leave mana open for interaction. It honestly feels like your just old school counterspell, like OG counterspell, is generally a better top deck than Force of Will would be. So that's, if you wrap your head around, I mean, really, most of the time when you're playing that deck, if you could draw either Counterspell or Force of Will, you would choose to draw Counterspell. So it kind of lets the 2 and 1 mana interaction feel a lot closer to free. And the other thing you miss is the fast mana. And that's the other thing you miss when you go down to budget. But Malcolm Kediss sort of comes with its own fast mana. So I think it's a cheaper deck to build. I think it's very effective, and I think that'd be, if I was going to be under, like $100 or under, that's where I'd be. If I was stepping up to more like between 100 and 500, I might go with Malcolm Tana. And I think the closer you get to 500, once you get to about $500, I think it opens up more, and you can actually decide between any of the main. So I'd say the cheapest one to build effectively is Malcolm Kediss. And then number 2 is Malcolm Tana. And I believe personally Malcolm Tana might be, just by a hair, the superior deck. Like in a cEdh, like fully optimized version, just by a little. And then when you get into more like $500, the world opens up and you can do Malcolm Bruce, and you can do, well, that's still actually a little bit. Probably you could add Vial Smasher into the mix, and you could have all 3 options. But I'd say cheapest, first, simplest, Malcolm Kediss.
That'd rock on. Are you able to look at that list and just kind of look at some of the draft chaff that's kind of there?
Here. Okay, so it's just gonna open up a.
Okay.
No, it says I'm. Yeah, so I'm able to open it, but I don't have view anymore. Or, well, it looks like it's trying to open anyway. There we go. Okay, so yep, I can see it. Now, the way I've got my screen set up, I don't know how well. No, yeah, I've got it. Okay, so this looks just like super similar to my $100 list. Yeah, I approve.
You're a little bit choppy on the audio.
Here, let me snap back in here maybe. So I get the idea. It looks very much like my $100 version.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? Oh no. What happened? You said you've got the $100, like my $100 version if you needed to open it. Then I'm just going to close that tab right now.
Yes, I do.
Okay, can you hear me okay now? Okay. Is that getting any better?
It's a lot better, yes, absolutely.
Wow. Guess I was just pushing my computer too hard. I don't know. Okay, so, yeah, I think it looked very similar to my $100 version. It's just got a kind of, you're missing some of the, I think the luxury pieces, but I think the deck would play virtually the same. Maybe a turn slower.
I gotcha. A turn slower, okay.
One thing I see is the...
I just wanted to be... You're good.
Okay, so one
thing it's all good.
One thing I see in there that I would caution people against with any of the Malcolm decks, even all the way up into cEdh, you want to probably not play 2-mana rocks in the deck. I know that sounds crazy to build a $100 deck and not put Arcane Signet in it or Felwar Stone, but it doesn't work with the curve. What you're trying to do is turn 1, you're going to put a ramp piece into play, Skirk Prospector, or one of the tap lands that's a depletion land that you can tap for 2 mana on the next turn, something like that. And you're going to go turn 2 Malcolm, and that's going to take your 3 mana. And then on your turn 3, you're going to want to cast Kediss and leave a blue mana open so that you can protect your team. And then you're going to go to combat and start doing broken things. At no point in that curve do you want to drop a 2-mana rock. So most of the time your 2-mana rock will just be the thing you discard to get the Glunthorn combo started. So I think even on a tiny budget, you still just cut the 2-mana rocks. You don't want them.
Nice. So anytime you want to get Malcolm, like an opening hand that says Malcolm plus protection, depending on the rest of the pot. Obviously, it's a little dependent, like, hey, are they going turbo? Do I need an interaction? Do I need removal? That kind of thing. But you really want to try and keep a hand. So would you say that Malcolm is a deck budget and competitive that molds really well, or doesn't mold that well?
Yeah, well, I think, yes, I do. I think they mulligan really well. I think the 2 that I've got the most experience on are Teamer Malcolm and Malcolm Kediss, and yeah, I think they mulligan really well. There's some little weird kind of idiosyncrasies of the deck that you've got to get your head around, like even in the full, because I play full power Malcolm Kediss also, and one of the things that I used to do, which I would say do wrong, is I'd open that turn 1 Remora, and I would just drop that turn 1 Remora, and not that that's a bad play. I mean, that's going to be a good thing. But the more I play the deck, the more I realize I don't want to drop that on turn 1. Because if I can drop that after I get my first Malcolm Kediss attack off, it's good. It's there for the rest of the game. So I think it's usually wise or worthwhile to throw away a little bit of early game equity to make sure that you can keep that thing going. And so just little tiny things like that. But yeah, it mulligans very well.
I gotcha.
They mulligan real well.
Okay, cool. Do we want to? Cool. So we have a budget version, like, just kind of give someone like, hey, this is like the lowest, like you draft shaft, right?
Yeah.
So we want to work our way up from draft shaft to now your version. You can close out of that and then pull up yours. And I'm pretty sure I have yours. It was updated last 19 days ago, I believe.
Booty, that's it. CBB one Ben's booty. One Ben just means $100.
Yep, that's the one I got.
Okay. Yep, I've got it. I've got it. And did I cause any trouble with the audio?
A little bit, but we'll just give it a second. Make sure everything does just fine.
It may just be when I'm going back and forth from Discord and then back. So
I think you're good right now. There's definitely some interesting spice in this deck that I love the Niv Mizzet line for sure. I think I have some pre-notions about like which one goes more pirate heavy, whereas one goes more not pirate heavy. I don't know. Like for me, like Crixus really feels. Well, we'll get to that when we get competitive.
I can't wait though.
So yes, absolutely. So I love like all of the cards that you have here. One of the ones that looks a little bit interesting is this Ulysses Fortune Flame. We want to talk about that and why you have the inclusion of this this card in there.
So yeah, that's one of the Grazilax-like cards in the deck. I'm playing a ton of evasive flying creatures, and I'm trying to draw as many cards as possible. And that's just it's a card that triggers all of my things. Like if I've got Grazilax, and it depends on what deck we're looking at, but on the Teamer version, it's Frostfang. It hits for Frostfang. So it's an evasive creature that gets in for my Professional Facebreaker and Grazilax, and just can generate more value that way. But honestly, I think that card in particular is just slept on. I think that if you kind of do the math and figure out what the average is, it starts to look a lot like a flying Sylvan Library, And for $100,
okay,
I think it's just a nice little value piece. It's absolutely not like intrinsic. You don't need that for the strategy. It's just a piece that I think I personally like.
But being able to turn through your deck a lot quicker. I mean, you don't have a bunch of tutors necessarily, so it seems like with budget, the best way, and with competitive, is to, well, I don't need to search for it if I'm just going to draw it naturally, or at least get enough things to last long enough. Some of the cards that, such as Fanatical Firebrand, I actually saw this in a more competitive deck recently, just because it's super inexpensive.
Okay.
It all the one drops. Like a lot of people were playing a couple of these, like, okay, they're 1 mana pirates that either have evasion or they have haste. How, like, it feels like in cEdh right now that there's a lot of creatures, right? And it comes up the board. And from my experience from playing EDH a lot, it seems the same as well. Like you were saying, you have a lot of evasion creatures. Has Fanatical Firebrand felt good in that evasion piece?
So I wouldn't.
Or is it just because it's good early and good late as well, because you can just sacrifice and ping it?
Yeah, so like kind of the once you get Malcolm out, it can always be the thing that gets you the treasure. And you can kill things with it on occasion. Once I get above $100, I think I'm dropping that from the deck. I wouldn't play that in a full power version, but it is another pirate. It triggers a lot of your other things. Like if you've got the Lightning Rig Crew, then you get an untap for casting it. But one of the nice things is, you know how the Reckless Fireweaver, like Mayhem Devil type combos work, right? So sometimes the battlefield is gummed up, and sometimes you really can't get through. Or sometimes you'll draw a bunch of cards during combat, and you'll have to try to make it all happen after combat. So having that Firebrand, what's it called? You're talking about the one that you can sacrifice to deal a damage, right?
Yes, fanatical firebrand.
So,
Yep, one red.
so you've let's say you used your Grazilax, or you had your Grazilax in play, or you had Usri in play. You went to combat already. You made your treasures, and you drew cards that are now going to allow you to set up the Reckless Fireweaver combo. But you already went to combat. You can use that Fanatical Firebrand to generate a treasure, which does put the artifact into play that starts the Reckless Fireweaver chain all up. So that's
okay.
it's and you know
That's
it's
always
just
the difficult thing.
Yeah, it can be a difficult thing. So, yeah.
Okay. Yep. You have the Niv Mizzet. How do you feel like about the Niv Mizzet in? Is it difficult to get down still in the budget version, or you're just like, cool, slam this every time?
Yeah, you figure on turn 2 you've got your Malcolm out. Turn 3, if you've got Niv Mizzet in your hand, you can play Niv Mizzet usually on turn 3. I mean, maybe that's not exactly true. It depends, I guess, a little bit, but for sure on turn 4. But that's not usually how we're getting Niv Mizzet into play. Most of the time, we're putting Niv Mizzet into play with Magda.
Yeah.
So you just need 5 treasures, and then you can search for the Niv Mizzet. And if you've got the Nexus, with the Maskwood Nexus, or if you have enough treasures to search for Maskwood Nexus, then you can find the Tandem Lookout to go with the Niv Mizzet, also with Magda. Magda does a lot of work in the deck. She's like one of the most crucial pieces. One of my favorite tricks is when you get to 5 treasures, and you'll notice I have some not so great 2-drop pirates in the deck, and really it's because I wanted to just hit that critical mass of 2-drop pirates so that I can go 5 treasures. I get 5 treasures easy in this deck, and I can sacrifice the 5 treasures to find Pyre of Heroes, and then pyre one of my 2-drop pirates into Glinthorn Buccaneer in a way that can't be counterspelled.
No, I like it. You have a lot more 1-drops than you would like in a competitive deck, because you don't have a Bowmasters to worry about. How does that?
Yeah.
Which feels like so good in this deck, because you even have like this changeling that can turn all creatures until end of turn into pirates. Like, cool. Like, you can't really play that in certain things. So having this availability to like kind of go back in time a little bit, but play with some other cards that don't punish green decks, and
Bowmasters is a nightmare, and in full power cEdh and the Malcolm decks, like, I don't think any of my decks can realistically win through a Bowmasters. I mean, I'm teched real heavy for exactly that reason. It's like that and Collector Roof, Manglehorn, Collector Roof, Bowmasters. Those are the nightmare scenarios, right? But not in budget. We don't have to worry too much about that.
Thank God. Yeah. Not too many people are running a bunch of artifacts and, smothering tides and docksides, if you will, anymore. Any other spice that you want to talk about that is just like, this is really different and I really like it? Like, one of those cards like no one sees, but it's like, this is an all-star and I found it randomly in a junk drawer, and if you're playing budget, this is the reason why you had to play budget.
Yeah, so one of the all-stars that I found and discovered in budget, and I was so impressed with it that it actually makes, now you're going to think it sounds crazy probably, but it makes my full power Malcolm, whatever, all of the Malcolm list, is that frickin' Lightning Rig crew. It's absolutely crazy. And in fact, when you've got the option to either cast your Malcolm or the Lightning Rig crew, you always lead with Lightning Rig crew. At this 10K that I played with Malcolm Tana, it didn't matter because I was already in top 16, but I punted a game just because I missequenced with that card. But if you get your sequencing right, that thing can do work. In this deck in specific, where we have 3 curiosity effects, if you put a curiosity, and all those pirates, if you put a curiosity on that thing, you tap it to make 3 treasures and draw 3 cards, cast one of your 1-mana pirates and it untaps, and you tap it again to make 3 treasures and draw 3 cards and play another pirate. I mean, you're storming off. It's so hard to lose the game at that point. I started calling it Lightning Rod crew, because the people that I play against know that they've got to get rid of that thing or there's going to be problems. So that's one, but that might be a little bit more obvious than the next one I want to bring up, which is any of the Firebrand archers. Now, I keep cutting more and more out, and I think I'm down to just a couple.
Sure.
But they are absolutely win conditions. So the trick is, when you've got your firebrand archer or something like it, Kessig,
Yeah.
Flame, okay, those guys, where they just ping the
Yes.
table for every spell, non-creature spell that you cast. If you put a curiosity effect on that thing and turn it into a pirate, the game is over. That's a wrap. And you will literally storm off manually, and it's really, really hard to not get there. So it's a pirate.
Oh.
You just hit it with one of your pirate type changes, and
Yeah.
now it's a pirate. So every time it pings somebody, you make a treasure for each ping, and you put a curiosity on it. So now every time I cast a spell, Gitaxian Probe, make 3 treasures, draw 3 cards, ping everybody for 1. Ponder, whatever it is, just you're basically just able to storm out. It's a little storm engine, and a lot of times what'll end up
I
happening,
gotcha.
it'll run you into another version of the same thing, and then you'll load up like a second storm engine, and now you're drawing 12 cards, and you got to worry about decking out is the biggest concern you've got, which is not a concern when you can make that much mana. So.
I think this is really great. I think some people might be interested in this format just because, like you were saying, like your format, you want to be able to play your thing. You don't deal with Bowmasters, but another thing that you don't deal with is you don't deal with Drannith Magistrate, I'd imagine, too much either.
Very
Like you
rarely.
can play your commander, but it's still like, okay, you can still do your thing. And in cEdh, sometimes people like, I can't play my Kitten, for example, because Drannith Magistrate's too heavy in the meta. I'm never going to be able to get it out. Whereas Malcolm Kediss, in your budget version over here, your $100, format, if you will, you're still playing competitively. You are restricting yourself on purpose, and now you have to be creative. Brewers meta, love it, absolutely. You have to think a little bit more than just A plus B equals win. There's no Thassa's demonic necessarily.
Very rarely. A couple
Yeah.
decks run it, but it's very rare because it's a big chunk of the budget.
Mm.
Yeah, and it is.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's a brewer. It really is like a brewer's world. I think that's what I like most about it. It adds another entire layer of strategy to the deck building process. It's almost like if the cards were pointed, but they're like in Canadian Highlander, is that what it's called, where some of the cards are pointed. Well, this is kind of like that.
I think so.
Instead of point, so there's I think it's Canadian Highlander, one of those Highlander versions where you only get 12 points to build your deck, and some of the best cards have so many points on them. That sort of sometimes is what this feels like. You've got that other layer of strategy with budget brewing because, you can play Thassa's Oracle. It's not banned or anything. It's just like $20 if you're. So it's heavily pointed, we'll say. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think you've got the idea. And one more thing I just want to add. You know how people talk about value engines? Like they're talking about Ristic Study and Mystic or more. These are value engines. Well, I've been playing Magic for a really long time, like probably longer than you've been alive, I would guess. So since like 96, I guess 96. Yeah. Okay. So I've been.
You must think I'm young.
I did think you were young. Yeah. No. Okay. So you've been around for longer than that. Okay. Well, I've been playing I played Standard before it was called that. You know what I mean? It was, Type 2. Anyway, but the reason that those cards were why they're called engines is because they used to be things you had to build. You'd have to put little pieces together, and then this 2 or 3 pieces created an engine, right? Now you've got Ristic Study is just an engine on its own, but it sort of doesn't make sense to call it a value engine in the classical way of thinking about it. So the cool thing about this deck that the Malcolm Kediss deck at $100, the entire deck is about building engines. That really is what you're doing. You're trying to set up not just a one-piece engine, but you're trying to put a curiosity on your Malcolm with a Kediss in play, and now you've got an engine. That you're trying to get your Reckless Fireweaver pirated up, and creating engines. So, or the
very synergistic.
Yes. Yep. Yes. You're not going to be able to play good card pile. It's just not going to get you there. So synergy's king. Okay, but one of the main reasons you and I started talking, from memory, is because I am a big
Yes.
advocate of Malcolm, and I heard you talking about which Malcolm deck to choose, and somehow you went from there to ending up on Kennen. Can I want to hear how that went down in your head, if you don't mind.
So with it, no, absolutely, absolutely. So I betrayed everyone. I'm sorry, right? So Kitten is an old classic of mine. I originally started with Nagila and kind of moved around a little bit until I hit Blue Farm, and then I'm like, let's try out Kitten a little bit. So it's a comfortability kind of thing for
Okay.
me. It's pretty straightforward. I looked at the month before at the tournament, and I said, everyone that's playing Kinnan in my area is playing it wrong, or they're playing bad cards. I'm like, it's slept on. It's paying attention to the meta, it's paying attention to the metrics, paying attention to deck building. And it's like, these people are either net decking and they don't know that they need to, like, you know, play the way it should. Like, Brewers meta. Like, hey, add this card to, like, make it worth in the meta. They're just cool. Copy
Copy
comedian,
paste.
whoever, and it's like that. It's like, that's cool, but I want some spice.
Yeah.
And with that, like, there's been some cards in Kitten, and I'm like, I really want to play Kitten because there's a couple cards, and even still, I'm brewing here and there. We were talking about Coma in Kitten the other day,
Okay.
me and Nate were, and we're like, that would be really cool with Enduring Vitality. Like,
Yeah.
it seems,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You can tap it and then sack it. It's like, cool, you got value out of it. You just made
You're getting
potentially,
two mana for each one too. That's sick. Yeah, I like that.
exactly. So it's like, cool. This seems really good. With another piece, it seems good on its own. It's always been a little bit iffy, but making a huge board state, saying, cool, go for it. People aren't going to be able to swing it in as easy. So, comfortability, step one. Looking at the meta, step two. And then comfortability again, right? So Malcolm it feels good, but I'm not as comfortable with it. I want to be, like, really, I'm a perfectionist, okay? If you haven't seen my videos or talk to Nate, he's like, dude, like, just sit down and record the video already. Like, so sometimes I don't feel where I know I should be, and comfortability with it. Like, the lines are easy for me. Grixis Vile, cool. It's Grixis Pile.
Yeah,
cool. I don't
worst
care.
case scenario, it's Grixis Pile. Yeah.
Yeah. So I played it enough. It's like, but which hand should I keep? I was playing it at F&M and things like that, and I'm like, I'm not getting Kinnan down, or I'm not getting Malcolm down early enough. I feel like I'm just playing table police over here. So it's like, I'm like, what is this deck about? I don't know my lines well enough of what hands I should keep, what hands I shouldn't keep, and I'm a perfectionist, so I think I needed more time on it. And going back to an oldie but goldie, Kitten for sure. And then also just talking to you, I'm like, man, Tana seems really good. The metrics are there, but they're not there, but they're there. A lot of people are going to Vile because, once again, it's really simple, but, like, with the recent bans, green has seemed really good. Your deck has been, like, able to go to long game. There's an additional curiosity effect in green specifically. Yeah. So I would love to hear your opinion about why you picked Malcolm Tana over what everyone else is picking of Malcolm Grixis. Why are you going against the tide?
I'm so happy that everybody's picking Malcolm Grixis. And I was very nervous when the bans happened, that everybody was going to finally catch on to Malcolm Tana, and specifically kind of the way I build it. I was like, I'm going to have to change decks because I won't be a hipster anymore if everybody's playing my 99, or 98. I had really, I haven't played a tremendous amount of tournaments with the deck, so when I give you this number, it's on a small sample size, but I've got a greater than 50% win percentage on that deck, and I've played it in 4 tournaments. The last one was a 10K, and I was top seed going into the top 16 with that list, and this was before the bans. Okay, in fact, all of those tournaments were before the bans. So to me, the deck has always been there, and I think one of the I'm glad that it's there. I'm glad we've got this little bit of cloud cover, or this little smoke and mirrors that's in front of most people, but they pay attention to a signal that I think is mostly noise, and that's the conversion rate. And if you look at the conversion rate, man, it is so hard to glean anything from that. Knowing a little bit about game theory and poker and just kind of statistics, understanding that stat a little bit, it would take till the end of time for that stat to converge. It's just never going to. I mean, it's going to eventually, but by the time those stats converge, nobody will be playing those decks anymore. So the EV is not going to align with the reality for long. It's going to take too long. So I think even though win percentage is not perfect either, it doesn't take as long for that stat to converge, where it starts to actually give you some, like, you don't have to do 10,000 samples to get your win percentage to roughly be a good estimate of how likely you are to win a game. But the conversion rate, it takes into account. So if I play a deck in a 180 player tournament, and you play a different deck in a 30 player tournament, you're going to have a higher conversion rate than me. Or, I mean, everybody in that tournament has a higher conversion rate. Like half of the decks are going to convert. So even like, so, you know, the 15th worst deck is going to have a 50% conversion rate. You know what I'm saying, right? Like it has an expectation of a 50% conversion rate. But if you go to one of the big, huge sample size tournaments, like the Boyle or something really big, where we should be starting to try to like get good statistics because there's larger sample sizes, the conversion rate doesn't tell you anything. Like if you look at a tournament that has 300 players, you're not going to find a single deck that has a high conversion rate. And you're going to look at like Kennen only has a 7% conversion rate. Well, it's because there's 400 people. You know, there's only 16 in the final, in the top 16. So until you can sort all that out and correct for it and all that, I don't think the conversion rate is the place to look if you want to see what's actually working. But I'm glad everybody keeps looking that way, because if you look at Malcolm Tana's win percentage, it's pretty nasty. Yeah, it's pretty, and I mean, mine in particular, but just them in general. The deck does really well, and people just don't quite know. They're looking at the wrong things, I think. Put it that way. But
that's awesome. Yes.
But now, since the bannings, to me, it seemed just totally obvious that this was going to be one of the best decks, because you've got green dorks, and everybody's figured out that green is a lot better than before, because while you get your turn 1 dork into turn 2 Malcolm every game. So with the dorks, I thought would be drawing attention to the deck. The fact that it makes treasure, it makes mana, I thought that would bring some more eyes on it. But so far, it looks like everybody's just kind of got their eyes on Grixis, which, by the way, I do think that's a good deck, and I wouldn't try to talk anybody off of the Grixis Malcolm. I think it's a really good deck. I like Malcolm Tana a bit better. I would try to tell you, though, and this is something I'm seeing in the top 16 lists that are actually making it. This was Malcolm Tana. I saw one, and the number, I don't know, 3 or 4 of the Grixis Malcolms. They started playing Kediss, and I think I told you that, like, in one of our early interactions, is like, you got to play this card. Like, you'd have, I don't know why people don't just auto include that in a Malcolm deck. Maybe it's just because I played Malcolm Kediss enough to know. But if you had a Dockside Extortionist for the same mana cost, but instead of making some kind of random, but probably higher number of treasures on the first turn, if you had the same cast cost creature and it makes 3 treasures every turn, I mean, how much worse is that than Dockside? I'll tell you, I never tutored for Dockside in Malcolm Tana. I don't think I've ever done it.
Sure. It makes a lot of sense. So you're not really hurting too much on that. It's very interesting, for sure. I think some people don't play. I didn't play Kediss until you talked me into it, into my decks, because you're 100% right. Like, just like with the budget version you were talking about earlier. Cool. Do you want to hold up mana every turn? This is how you do it. This is how you do it. So this is how you do it. You play Kediss. Now, is it a 1/1? Yes. Is anyone going to hit it? Cool. They hit it. I don't really care that much.
Yep.
A little bit, but not too much. So I think the reason why I enjoyed Malcolm Vile is because before the bans happened, you had what I am blanking. You had Mayhem Double, which was like prolific. I thought it was a really good card. It combos with Malcolm, and from my point of view, it seems like if you were to go heavy into Malcolm in either of those 2 different colored pies, either green or black for Malcolm, that the green version would be more of the definitely more of the curiosity effects because you have more of them, right? You have 4 of them in green, whereas in black, you would have more of the turn them into a pirate. I saw a couple different decks recently where they put a bunch of red pirates in, or a bunch of they put like all the red creatures that will be able to ping when an artifact comes or leaves or that kind of thing, right? I think there's like 3 or 4 of them, and then Mayhem Devil is another one, similar to your Firebrand. Was like, cool, turn this into a pirate, and I'm essentially winning the game.
Yeah.
That's my synopsis. Is that obviously green isn't just this, and black isn't just this. You could, it seems like the deck is so adaptive. You can do a Kiki line, you can do a Niv Mizzet line. Like, no one really knows what you have in this. They just know, cool, Glint Horn, and then depending on the color. With that, I definitely feel like an A plus B combo. Like, the black version allows you to have 3 different win conditions, whereas, like, the green one seems to be less win conditions, which maybe those are the training wheels and people aren't willing to take them off.
What are the
How do you
ones
feel
you're
about
counting?
that kind of comparison?
What are you counting as the win conditions in the black one?
So you have Thassa's Oracle,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
You have
Glinthorn.
you with that, yeah, you have Glinthorn, and then you obviously have the Breach line.
Oh, the breach line. Okay, that's the third kind of. I see. I thought you were talking about.
Mill everybody out.
I thought you were talking about the pingers, like the Mayhem Devil and Type Change, but you've got access to all those in the green color identity too.
But then you could also, you're right, so then you also have all the pingers. Even just Mayhem Devil is cool, turn it into...
You don't get that one in the green version, and that is probably the best one. Although, if you're playing the curiosity effects, if you put a curiosity, even if you don't have the win, if you put a curiosity on a ingenious artillerist, and you attack with your, in the Malcolm Kediss version, if you put a curiosity on the ingenious artillerist, when you attack, you draw 9 cards. And that's kind of crazy. But you have access to all of the pingers other than Mayhem Devil, but I took them all out of my deck. I don't even actually play them. Yep. So I've actually gone from, I've had a couple different iterations. The number of win conditions I landed on is really 2, and I've bounced around a lot on that, but I don't feel like the idea that the black color identity gives you more access to win conditions is something that sells me on it, because I'm already not playing the win conditions that I do have access to. I took them out for grind engines and removal. I'm just on the Glinthorn Buccaneer, that's plan A, and the Niv Mizzet is plan B. I used to do the Kiki Jiki lines, because you've got Birthing
Pod, yeah.
But here's the thing that I noticed about that is, like, say you have your Magda out and you sacrifice 5 treasures to put your Birthing Pod into play, or if you just have any of your, like, you've got a Kinnan out or whatever, you've got a 2-drop in play, and a lot of times it is Magda in my deck. Sack 5 treasures, find your Birthing Pod. What do I need Kiki Jiki for? I can just sack Magda to get Glinthorn. So I just do, 2-drop into Glinthorn. So even though it's only 1 card, we've got a lot of different ways to actually come up with that 1 card. The biggest thing you get from green that you don't have in black, and this is going to sound crazy, but if you think about it, I think it's true, is tutor density. Like, you've got a good chunk more tutors in green than you have in black. No, I mean, that sounds backwards, but if you actually count them out.
So the biggest thing is, with the recent changes, you have Lively Dirge, right? And then you have Beseech the Mirror.
That's
you
have
have
two. That's 2 new ones.
You have 2, which isn't spectacular.
But you still have
because
demonic
a lot of the
tutors.
green does.
You still have good tutors, though.
I suppose the only real advantage, once again, training wheels, once again, is what I would say it is in comparison to the other ones, and why I'm so afraid to go to the other one, is because I don't need my commander necessarily to win the game.
True.
Obviously, with your version, 5 treasures, or just get out curiosity plus Niv. Cool. I get that entirely. But you could do the same thing if you really wanted to in the black version. But it just being able to Thassa's Oracle win is just so clean so early. And sometimes when you're able to search up a lot easier with black, and the difficulty with black is it goes to your hand or the top of the library. Whereas green, it says, cool, it's on the battlefield. Are we winning the game? And green has been given so much protection recently. Once again, I think with the recent change, me included, I feel like there's still training wheels to be able to let go of Thassa's Oracle and say, I can still win the game. So I think that's one reason why. And once again, not having the reps with it, I built it multiple times, put it together, and it doesn't feel as easy. You know what I mean? But there's advantages to having the green because there's still explosive starts for sure. I can tell you how many times where I've gotten down Malcolm and I'm like, cool, I can get down Glinthorn, but I don't have 5 mana to be able to Glinthorn plus win. Whereas the green version, it feels like, cool, I can really do that. Niv Mizzet is a house, and maybe I just need to sit down and just say I'm going to commit to this for the next month and just add red to Kinnan, if you will. So
yeah, and so that's another piece you get is Kinnan. One of the things, and now when you're playing the Grixis version, you do have like ad nauseum. You have kind of the standard Grixis thing that you can do. Now that's not the way that I would play the deck. But I wouldn't try to talk somebody else out of it. It's not aligned with my style anymore. It's just totally foreign to me. I played Kess years ago and did the kind of Grixis turbo thing, and it's just not my style.
Yeah.
It's just not my style. But
I gotcha.
I wouldn't talk anybody off it. I think it's a great plan. My build of Grixis Pirates is winning, you're going to laugh, primarily with Time Civ. Yeah. Don't try this at home. But I've got Professional Facebreaker, Kediss, a good number of the 1-drop Evasive Pirates. Now there's a new one, too. There's the Grim Hireling. There's the new kind of it turns all your dudes into Ragavans, right? So you've got all of these ways to make treasures, and you just need to make 5 per combat with Time Civ, and you win the game, right? So you don't have to play any... And just having a Time Civ out when you're making a bunch of treasures... The ability to just sack 5 artifacts. I mean, even if you just sack 5 treasures, Time Warp is not that bad when you can just get it on demand. And you can sacrifice a tapped mana vault or whatever. And I don't know. I guess maybe I just, I prefer that kind of grindier style anyway. It's just kind of the way I like to play. And so I made the deck in a way that it actually feels more like the Malcolm Tana deck. But really, I don't think that's a fair comparison. The real question is, do you want to do like Grixis Core, Go Fast, Go Burr, Turbo, and also you have the backup win conditions, or do you want to play the green version? And the biggest draw to the green version, I'm going to say, is yes, you get the extra curiosity effect, and I do play it, but I have taken, I'm often on the Ophidian Eye in the green version. It's like, it's in sometimes, it's out sometimes. I think most recently I've taken it out for Legolas's Quick Reflexes. I think the world is sleeping on that one too, honestly. It protects the Malcolm, of course, but it also it shoots down all of our biggest. You put it on Malcolm, and then you can burn any of the things that hurt you. You've got the Bowmaster goes away. You can burn the Bowmasters with it. You can burn Collector Roof with it. Just with your Malcolm.
Yes, exactly what I was thinking of, yeah.
Yep, and you can get rid of the... so Bowmaster's, Collector Roof, Manglehorn, those 3 are really problems for the deck. And so for me, that is a piece that kind of solves 2 problems. When you go to combat, somebody tries to get rid of your Malcolm or your... either one of them, the Malcolm or the... what's the other pirate? Glinthorn. You can save your guy with the Legolas's Quick Reflexes, and, it can be a removal spell, and it's split second. It's 1 green mana. All that really just to say, I don't know that you even want to count the fact of having 4 curiosity effects as being this big advantage, because I lean into them pretty hard, and I think 3 is probably, like 3.5 would be about right, So anyway, I would say the bigger draw to the green deck is going to be the dorks, man. Like, no matter, like you asked if the deck's mulligan well. And in that version in particular, it mulligans fantastic. Because worst case scenario, you're going to go turn 2 Malcolm, and especially with the meta shift and the bannings, that's good enough. Dork, like land Dork Pass used to be kind of sketchy, although I don't know, it usually works. It's usually good enough. But now I
Yeah.
think it's pretty much the gold standard. It's like it's good enough. If you got to go to 5 cards and you've got a Dork and you've got a Malcolm and you've got a Tutor, that's an easy keep and you're playing the game, you know. So having the extra consistency of having all the mana Dorks, that's a big pull. And then having the just absolute gluttony of 2 battlefield tutors and other tutors for the main win, which is Glinthorn. I mean, you've got Survival of the Fittest. You've got the birthing pod, which you can find with Magda, and the whole thing layers really nice together too. And maybe that's just depending on how you build it. But and you do have the commander agnostic win condition, which is one complaint that people make about Malcolm decks in general, and especially like Malcolm Kediss, is that it's so hard to win without your commander. What I found is by the time you're at a spot where your commander has actually been killed enough that you can't just keep recasting it, it's Niv Mizzet time anyway. It's that time in the game where you're able to put a Niv Mizzet out. So I think if I wanted to play the faster version of the deck, even though you could build Malcolm Tana to be very fast, that to me that's just playing like bad Rogsai. Like if you're gonna build a turbo version of Malcolm Kediss, just play Rogsai. Right? That's
it
my
feels
idea.
like it feels like Nigila a little bit. One reason why I kind of like the deck
It does
is
feel like
because
Nigila.
if you can with the green, but the thing is, Nigila, you have to connect multiple times. This, you don't need to connect. You just swing and then do your thing. So it's like I've always considered the Malcolm deck like a Nigila deck, and
It is similar.
Nigila always had and with the green, it pivots on one axis of Nigila, whereas Malcolm Vile pivots on a different axis of Nigila. And it's like it's intriguing. It's intriguing, and like I said, I feel like Vile is a little bit more of a training wheels for me personally. No one else, obviously. Everyone else, do your thing. But for me, I am not ready to take the step into the green, blue, red. So Teamer is just a little bit scary, and I think it's only going to aid everyone if people are able to kind of be bold and step into different color pies to try out different decks in the meta right now, because the meta is kind of open, and Brewer's advantage, especially with Malcolm Tana right now, you have multiple lines you can go, and you can change it up week by week by week if you really wanted to.
Yeah, people don't know what to expect from that deck, and we've gotten a lot of really good pieces as of late too. But what I would say is, like, if you want a deck that is like kind of a Rogsai but a little bit more resilient, not like you lose half a step in speed, then the Grixis Malcolm deck is going to be kind of that deck for you. And if you want to build that kind of just a half step slower, more resilient build, I would recommend that. Now, a lot of people do build the Teamer version that way. I don't think you should do that. If you're going to do Teamer, I would lean into the... it's making mana. It's in its nature to go fast. You're going to have those just automatic, I win accidentally on turn 2. It's going to happen. So in my view, you want to build the deck to be able to win when it doesn't get the auto wins, and not leaning so hard into the auto wins. I'm not playing like Final Fortune, and I'm not trying to go burr in Teamer. I think if you're going to try to go burr a little bit, I'd do Grixis, and I think it's a fine deck, and I think you can build it in a lot of different ways. Once you get your head around, if you decided like I really like this Malcolm thing, and you started playing the different versions of the deck, I think what you'll find is you can take any of those shells and you can tune them to what you want them to be. I mean, you really can go mid-range or turbo with any of them. Truly. I mean, there's probably 400 cards that are defensible to play in Malcolm Tana. You aren't going to see like two decks that are exactly the same very often. One thing I'll say is a big benefit of that deck, though, is having access to Kennen. because there is a thing that happens, and it's happening more recently. When you get to a spot where you've only got one opponent left, your glint horn doesn't work anymore. And
Yeah.
sometimes when you only have two opponents left, which happens pretty frequently, if their life is far enough apart, you can't win. And Kinnon's the answer to that. If you have Kinnon,
Oh, okay.
you can even win the 1v1 with, because Kinnon makes your treasures crack for 2, and that's all you need. So that's just a little.
I got you.
But then again, I guess in the Grixis version, you don't need to worry about that because you've got Underworld Breach and you've got Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation. So yeah, I don't know. I don't
Well,
know
I
which
mean,
one's
yes.
better.
Also with it's awesome because with the black version, with Vile, what you can do is get out Glinthorn Buccaneer. You can, pay 39 life into your Necropotence, and then discard 39 cards.
Yep.
I'm just,
GG's.
is it possible to be a little bit crazy like that? But
Oh, that'll
it's one of those like things that come to my head.
That'll definitely happen. Man, I've won lots of games with Glinthorn, like when I don't have Malcolm out. And this is a commander agnostic combo that works in all of them. If you just have 8 cards in your hand, when you put a Curiosity on Glinthorn, it's the same thing. You go to instep and it's almost like the Gitrog monster thing. Like every time you discard, you ping, you draw, it resets the discard, and you just keep going and murder everybody that way.
Yep.
And people don't see that coming. In a tournament, you can sneak that win in a lot, I wouldn't try it on your friends necessarily, but I might. But yeah, I think that you seem like you pretty well have your head around it. Like you kind of get the idea. You get what's going on. Just understand there's more than one way to build any of the decks, and I think they've got a lot more in common, and it's going to be really dependent on the way you want to take that deck more than it is the color identity of the deck.
That's what I'm talking about, man. I love that attitude because I want to encourage people to build the deck they want to, but I want them to make it as competitive to their play style.
Yeah.
Something about
Yeah.
Magic is that there's a lot of different play styles. I sometimes like Turbo, but not every time. I like stacks and tempo. That's what I really like. I don't like the very fast. Mid-range is a little bit iffy. I like to be able to pivot with the meta. And it seems like Malcolm is really able to do that really well.
I totally think that's
sometimes
true.
And that's why I'm like, I want to put this on my belt. I want to make this like one of my decks, but it's like, there's so many other decks, and do I have the time? And I am a perfectionist, like I said at the beginning, and I want to be able to have so many games underneath my belt before I say, this is what I'm presenting with, and I'm going to represent myself well. I love that we made this friendship, that we're able to talk about Malcolm, and you convinced me about a lot of different things, and I love your statistics. I would love to go over like how you see the world of statistics coming from a poker background. I would love to sit down and do that. I think it was really insightful. Cool conversion rate. I'm like, cool conversion rate, but you're 100% correct. The win rate on Tana, when I did the video way back in the day, Tana was at like 40% overall.
It's crazy.
But the conversion rate wasn't there.
No, right. Yeah. So how do you even square those two and think that that's when people look at the win percentage and it's really high, and then they look at the conversion rate and it's kind of low. Like that should tell you there's something wrong with one of those statistics, and we know what win percentage means. That's pretty easy to get your head around. But yeah, so I'm glad that you kind of caught that drift. A lot of people just listen to. I understand why people listen to the kind of quote hive mind. One, most of the time they're right. Just most of the time, if there's a consensus on something, the consensus will probably be right more often than it isn't. So it's a pretty, it's a nice, safe way to go. The other thing is if you hear the same things, the same sentiments being echoed by 100 people, then you think, well, it's got to be true because everybody knows it's true. But what I think is that's not actually 100 people. That's like 3 loud people and 97 people that think those 3 people are God. You know what I mean? They just there's a few people that everybody really respects. And so whatever those 3 people say, think, and believe, that's what everybody else starts to think, say, and believe. So that's not nothing. These are usually intelligent and good players and experienced people. But it's not the same thing as there being a true consensus. It means there's 3 guys, not 100 or 1,000 guys that all think this, really. So you got to kind of think for yourself in the margins, I think. I think that's an important thing to figure out.
and that's 100% where I want to be. I really appreciate any final thoughts.
I do.
I think we've hit these decks pretty well.
Almost.
And
Almost. I've got a little.
Okay.
Do you have a minute?
I have many minutes.
Okay.
Yes, I would love to hear what you have to say.
Well, there's one that we didn't talk about yet, and I've got this kind of on the. This is the ace up my sleeve here. This is
Really?
the
Okay.
one that has the highest win percentage out of all of them. However, nobody plays the deck, so it's kind of hard to really think too much about it. But the one that, according to this, well, I should say the last time I looked into it, the one that had the highest win percentage, but the smallest sample by far, was Malcolm Bruce.
Sure.
Malcolm Bruce.
50%.
Dude, it's
50%
yeah,
win
last
rate.
time I saw it was 50%. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, you have the silences.
Yes.
What do you, me and Maddie have been brewing it up a little bit recently, but it's like, what do you get with white besides silence and removal?
More one-card win conditions. So
Really?
Yeah, so there's a couple lines that I think, these are what I want to tell you about these lines, and then I think you'll be maybe even just a little bit more confused than you were when we started, but because there's another thing to consider, you know. So with the so Jeskai, like I don't play Underworld Breach in my Malcolm Tana deck. I have found that it's not because I don't like Underworld Breach, it's because I don't like Brain Freeze and I don't like Lion's Eye Diamond. They're pretty well dead or dead-ish without the Breach. And in Teamer, you have just so few ways to find Breach. I mean, you've got like Gamble, Muddle the Mixture. That might be it. Like that might be, or Intuition. I guess you could maybe do, but you really can't get it with Intuition. You don't have a good pile. So you've got basically two tutors. So most of the time, you're going to draw either LED or Brain Freeze without having access to the Breach, and that's just. And when you just draw LED without Breach, the card just reads "skip your draw phase." You know, feels bad. So I took them out. I don't play them. I used to play them way back when Hull Breaker or Hull Breacher was a thing, because you could do breach loops with Hull Breacher and it just kind of it fit better, you know. So Jeskai, however, is a very good way to play Breach. So the things you get with Jeskai is you get Savine's Reclamation, which turns Intuition into a one-card win condition. So that's one additional one-card win condition, and it's you just cast Intuition. It doesn't matter what they give you. You win the game, or else you cast it too early. You know. The other one-card win condition that you get with exactly Malcolm Bruce is Spellseeker. Now this one's a little bit more all-in and a little bit more mana intensive, but if the deck does anything, it makes mana. You've got the rituals if you want them, which I do, but you've got do you know the line, the one card win with Spellseeker and Jeskai? It's a little bit complicated, I think.
No.
Okay, so here's how this works, and this is one of the draws to this deck for me. So you cast your, and it does require a little bit of setup. You do have to have some mana in play, and you do have to have some cards in the graveyard. But it's not as much setup as it might sound. You cast your, and you do have to play one kind of dead card. It wasn't as dead when Dockside was legal, but it's a little dead now. It's Ephemerate. So you have to put the one Ephemerate in your deck. It's not the worst. It's not like Brain Freeze. No. I mean, it does stuff. So you cast your Spellseeker, and the card that you get with your Spellseeker is Ephemerate. You cast the Ephemerate targeting the Spellseeker. So that flickers the Spellseeker, and you get to look for another card. The other card that you find is Final Fortune. You cast the Final Fortune. You go to your next turn. Okay. Now, at the beginning of your turn, the Ephemerate comes back. And it hits the Spellseeker again. Now you're going to get the White Tutor, Enlightened Tutor, and you do this during your upkeep. Okay, so, or before your draw anyway. And you flicker the Spellseeker, you find your Tutor, you cast Enlightened Tutor for Underworld Breach.
Yeah.
You draw a Breach for turn, you cast the Breach, you cast the Ephemerate out of your graveyard, and you find Brain Freeze with the Spellseeker, and you're there. You can recast. Then, if you want, you can recast the and Light Tutor because you've got Breach in play, and get your Lion's Eye Diamond. So it doesn't assemble itself. I mean, it does. You're gonna have to do it, but it will. You just need to find the one card.
It's 6 mana and Spellseeker. It's 6 mana and Spellseeker. You could do that turn 3, maybe, depending on what you have.
You need to have some cards in your graveyard.
Sure, but fetch lands are always really good. Yep. Maybe people
Rituals.
Yeah, I suppose you don't have green, so you don't have a way to like get there necessarily. But all the silence effects are insanely good.
Right.
I think a lot of people haven't been playing a lot of spot removal as well, and red and white has some of the best spot removal there is.
Yeah, it does.
So that's really it's Malcolm Kediss, if you will, even if you get up Bruce and Malcolm, cool, double strike. That's two treasures.
Cool.
Like
and I do play Kediss in the deck too. And now I don't actually play this one in paper, but I goldfish it. And if you have Malcolm and Kediss and you drop Bruce, that's nasty. Double strike. You just make all the mana. And especially if you've got a curiosity effect on it. But the main thing you're getting is silence and the silence effects. There's also another piece that I think is pretty good. This doesn't seem that good. But the way that I've played with this actually is I used to run a card called Tempted by the Auric. Have you heard of this? Dude,
no. What is it?
I speculate on cards. When I see something that comes out and I think people are sleeping on it, I buy a bunch of them, right? I did that with Jessica's Will. And,
sure.
I kept going back and seeing, there's still $1.25. I'll buy 4 more. And I go next week, I'm like, they have to have popped off by now. Oh, there's still $1.50. I'll buy 5 more. So, and even through reprints, it's still like, what, $15 or something. Anyway.
It's up there,
It's up there. But Tempted by the Auric was one I didn't do so well on. We'll see. I'm still waiting for the world to catch on to this one, and maybe it's just me. It's blue, 1.
Okay.
So it's 4 mana, blue, and 1. But, I played it in Malcolm Kediss, and I think it might still be in the budget version. And it just has the text, for each opponent, you can gain control of target creature or planeswalker with CMC 3 or less. And in cEdh, that's just all the things, right? You can take 3 commander. It's almost like a Tevish alt. That's what I think of it. So you can take any 3 creatures, so you get 1 from each person, and it's got to be a creature or planeswalker of converted mana cost no greater than 3. So in a game I was playing, I took this. Here, let me open this list up. I snatched somebody's Unsettled Mariner. And man, did that thing just kick ass in my Malcolm Kediss deck. And so this goes in my... If I were going to build the Jeskai version, this would for sure be in the deck. It's a changeling, so it's a pirate. And it just says whenever... It's 2 mana, a white and a blue. Whenever you or a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability and opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its controller pays 1. So effectively, it just says all your things have whatever that new hex proof is.
Ward.
Yeah, it gives everything
Ward 1.
Yeah, and if you've ever played with that damn Bauble out or like a Thorn of Amethyst, you know how much mana 1. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when it's turning your Force of Wills into not free, bad example, but it's turning your Swords to Plowshares into 2 mana, it helps. So that's a piece that. I don't know if that's a reason to play the white version, but it's a thing you get to play, and it's another good 2-drop, which I do think you should play Pyre of Heroes in that deck. And the Pyre of Heroes, you pyre. It's a 2 mana birthing pod, but only for things that share creature type. Yeah.
Nate was talking about that the other day. He's like, "This would be awesome," and I'm like, just go pirate heavy. It seems, yeah.
Yep.
Nate was talking about it the other day.
Yep.
So we're definitely looking at a lot of different stuff. The white version seems, once again, training wheels. Okay, training wheels as always.
It's the weirdest.
You have your green. I have my my swamp. But like at the end of the day, like. Why would we play white? Like, what do we really get? We get a lot of silence effects. I mean, you could play even like some different like cat combos if you really wanted to. With Teferi, it's not great, but if you really wanted to, gotta go a little bit more mid range. Like once again, Malcolm is very adaptable.
Yeah, you could build a deck that it makes sense to run that combo in for sure. Yeah. I mean,
And
I
then
like
there might
that
be
combo.
a card right around.
Sorry?
There might be a card right around. There might be a card right around the corner. You know what I mean? Like, that just will make that deck insanely good. I don't think it's been tested enough. That's the thing with the meta the way that it is right now. I want to test things when I'm not competing, and I need to, and I don't have the time to get those to a state where I want to, because I'm like this deck and that deck,
Yeah.
this deck and that deck,
Yeah.
and so it's a little bit of like Doug from Up. It's a squirrel. New deck,
Squirrel.
crazy
Squirrel.
new deck.
Yeah.
Like I want. That's where I am in the meta, and right now, just be able to talk to you like, okay, this is an actual viable avenue that is competitive, that people are sleeping on right now. I believe they are. I believe people are sleeping on Malcolm Tana, and it might take some time for people to get off those training wheels and say this deck slaps, and this is why you should play it. And yeah, I I think we've talked about Malcolm quite a bit. What is your number 2 deck if you weren't to play Malcolm in cEdh and budget? Let's talk about this for like, what would you play? What's your style?
Okay. That's a good question. I am like just total, because when you're like, if I weren't going to play one of these decks, what would I play? I'm like, oh, easy. I would play Malcolm Tana. But wait, that still has Malcolm in it. I guess I just like Malcolm. But if I weren't able to play any of those, what's my next go-to? What's the deck I crack open the most that isn't one of those decks? I do play a lot of Malcolm. In budget, I really like Mink Skin Boo, the green and red one. Gruul Mink Skin Boo. It's just very complicated.
Yes.
And like it's layered combo soup, and I just love the way that it's like a manual storm kind of a situation. I think it's really neat that it's an infinite mana outlet, but it's not obvious that it's an infinite mana outlet. You kind of have to figure out how to make it work as one. So I like that deck a lot, and I also just think that the card itself, just the 4 mana Planeswalker, is sort of a beast, man. It's like it's a Swiss Army knife. It just does everything, So I like that a lot.
Cards, kill stuff.
Yep. I like that. I think, and I'm about to build, I think I'm going to finally build a real control deck. I did play, in cEdh, I played Shorikai, and in goldfishing and testing, I'm like, this deck is fucking crazy. Oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to cuss.
Yeah.
Sorry. So
You're fine. It's your thing, man.
Good. So it seems just nasty. And then I played it before the bans, and it was always like I was almost there. Like I was almost ready to turn the corner every flipping game, and it just never quite got there. Now I've cracked it back out since the bans, and it's actually working now. I had my first win ever in a cEdh pod since the bans. I mean, I played it probably 7 times and never won a game with it before the bans, but it was always right there. So that one's a good one, but I think my next budget brew is going to be the Azorius Urza. I like things that people don't pay attention to that I think they should. That's my thing, man, and the Azorius Urza, what are things that are good about commanders? You want them to be a mana engine or a value engine or a combo piece. Like, these are things we want. In budget, especially. Card draw, yeah. So in budget, I feel like mana advantage is a big one. And the Azorius Urza is blue, white, and 1. And it reduces the generic casting cost of all of your instants, sorceries, and artifacts. You don't have to pick one. It does them all.
Nice.
So it's a mana, so it turns all of your 2 mana interaction into 1 mana interaction. And in budget, that's like crazy. Like you get to play like 1 mana Arcane Denial or 1 mana Mana Leak. Negate.
Yeah.
And you don't get that rate. That's not a rate you get. 1 mana bounce spells with no downside. Like it turns in protection spells. There's one thing that I thought was really cool. I borrowed this from a buddy who's playing what's the Jeskai? It's the Jeskai thing that reduces for every target, it reduces the cost of that spell by 1. It came out of the ninjas, the Neon Dynasty. It's
No, I didn't see it.
Well, in any case,
but it's Jeskai.
It's Jeskai, and it just says for every target, So the spells you cast are reduced by 1 for each target, and the spells your opponents cast increase by 1 for each target. So it's really pretty good. But I took a page out of my buddy's book, and there's a card, and I'm not going to be able to think of the name of it, but it's 1 Phyrexian white mana and 1 colorless, and it says target permanent gains protection from the color of your choice or artifacts until end of turn. So with that Urza commander out, it's free. You just get another piece of free interaction. Pay 2 life and you protect your thing. So I'm jamming all the 2 mana, 1 colorless and a whatever interaction in there. But it's also, aside from being a mana engine, it's also a combo piece. Because you can set up, there's tons of choices now. It's like I've got to decide which ones to use. But there's Sensei's Divining Top with any of the things that allow you to play artifacts off the top of your deck. So you're just there, so you don't have to play any dead cards. You don't even have to play any bad cards. Future sight type effects plus the commander plus Sensei's Divining Top, and you win the game. You draw your deck. So
nice.
Yeah.
That feels like Elsha the Infinite.
It's the same
similar.
Thing. Yep, same idea. Except for instead of having to pay the cost. So Elsha is the thing that lets you play off the top of the deck, and then you have to find a cost reducer. Well, Urza is the cost reducer.
Yes.
So you need to find a thing that lets you play off the top of the deck. So you've got the reality chip.
Well, I think there's more things that. Exactly. I think there's more things that will be able to look at the top of the deck. So you already have the piece in hand. You have 3-4 different pieces that can go and look at the top of the deck now.
There's too
Perfect.
many. There's more than enough. I'm not even playing Future Sight in the deck. Because there's the new one, Crystal Skull or whatever, and then the reality chip is the best one. Mystic Forge, you can play that if you want to. I'm not sure if I'm on that or not, but there's enough of them, so that might be my my next thing, and so that's budget, and I am kind of looking towards Shorikai. I'm going to see if I can make that hum in cEdh, and I feel like there's another one that I've been thinking of. So what's in my deck box right now? Part of me wants to see if I can actually make Korvold work post-ban, and I don't have high hopes, but it was a deck before. I mean, it was a food chain deck.
It still can do its thing with Soul Trader or whatever it is, where you sacrifice a creature and make a treasure, lose a life. I mean, it still sees a little bit of Ward's Ultra. Yep. So it still does its thing. It's pretty decent. Are people dedicated to it as much? And I think right now people are going back to their creature comforts a little bit, and there's a couple people skirting outside the edge, just kind of doing their thing. So I think that's one reason why you see a lot of people playing Kitten, maybe me entirely as well. Shorikai, let me know if you come up with anything. I'm encouraging one of the guys at our shop. He's getting into cEdh, and I said it's a little bit complicated, but at the same time, I think one of those decks where if you stick with it from the beginning, you might really get some dividends out of it. And we really want to change up the meta and play some wonky decks. I'm like, if you don't play Shorikai, I'm going to play Shorikai, and then you're not going to be able to, because I'm going to love it. Maybe we'll see. So I'm like, you take this deck. You take this deck that I think is really cool. That's kind of what I do to the newer guys that are coming in. I'm like, I think this deck fits you. I think this deck fits you because if you don't play it, I don't want to play it.
That's
so
exactly right. That's how I tricked all my friends into playing cEdh. Is I bought them all from NPC Phil, the proxies. I bought all of my closer playgroup friends. I got them each a deck from NPC Phil and got them hooked on cEdh. But I want to tell you about my win.
We got some new guys though. Win Edition. Yeah, go for it. Or
Shorikai.
Which one?
Shorikai.
Oh, go for it. Yeah.
So check this out, right? This is what I've been figuring out. So the hard part is, I mean, you have all kinds of infinite combos that'll let you draw your deck, but it's like, do you want to play Thassa's Oracle? I don't want to play Thassa's Oracle. I don't want to draw that card, So what I settled on is my main win condition. I've only got 2 win cons in the deck, and one of them is what's the enchantment that has extort, that your opponent's stuff all comes into play tapped? Blind Obedience.
Blind Obedience?
Yep. So when you're going through your Scepter thing, or if you're doing your Hullbreaker Horror Dance, Blind Obedience can end the game. And then my only other win condition is, because when you're going through all these Scepter loops, or you're going through the Hullbreaker Horror thing, you're making pilots, and everybody forgets about that. I forget about it. but you're making, every time you tap it, you make a pilot. So you're flooding the board with 1/1s when you go infinite, but you can't attack with them. Nexus of Fate. So think about it. When you're going through the deck, you draw 2 and discard 1. So anytime you draw the Nexus of Fate, you just discard it. It goes back into the deck, and it's like, it's a freebie. That's just the card you discard. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right? But then when you actually go infinite, you build up a board of 10 billion tokens. You don't want to pass the turn. You just cast Nexus of Fate. Then you go to your next turn. They don't have summoning sickness, and it's GG's.
That definitely seems to be the way that like blue hit it or what am I saying? Teferi, mono blue commander Teferi. It plays a lot of extra turn spells because cool, can make a bunch of mana, but can't win the game. And it seems like blue, if you were to be mono blue, cool, take an extra game. Like even like Urza, cool, make a bunch of different constructs, cool. I gotta take an extra turn, make you draw your entire deck, or how do I win the game?
Yep.
Another way to win the game, and might be interesting for you, is there's a new Eldrazi that every time that you cast a artifact or a colorless spell, you make a 1/1 and it pings everyone. It's a colorless aristocrat from Modern Horizons. Not saying it might be the best, but
I've seen that.
In Hull Breacher loops, it seems like it's all right.
So whenever you're casting artifacts, you're making a little 0/1 spawn thing. Is that right? And you can crack it for mana?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not bad.
You can crack it for mana, and every time that a colorless spell comes onto the battlefield, or a creature, or whatever it is, I forget what it is, it'll be up on the screen, it pings every opponent or a certain opponent. So it's one of those things in mono blue, that's one way the Barrier or Urza kind of wins the game. Obviously, would that be good post-infinite? I don't know. Probably not. But then again, you make more 0/1s if you're playing. It's intriguing at best, and maybe a consideration. But that kind of is how mono blue wins, because mono white doesn't really win the game cleanly outside of having another throw with it. Yeah.
Or Heliod Ballista, which kind of sucks. Yeah.
Every time someone's like, I'll just put Heliod Ballista, I'm like, but what else is there? It's such a cop-out. I'm like people will put Walking Ballista and Kitten. I'm like, why?
No.
I get it. Or same with Agatha Soul Cauldron, I'll see it in Kitten as well. I'm like, because you're too lazy to understand how it wins with another card? Okay, fair enough, whatever. So
you like the win conless decks, mate? Do you do win conless whenever possible? Are you talking about winning the game without an actual win condition that's just a dead card except when you're winning?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Obviously, you want to play win conditions, but when you think about it, does this do me anything post-infinite?
Yeah.
It's something that I've kind of gained off of playing Magda. Does this do me anything post-infinite? No, then I don't need it. I need 2 things that do me post-infinite, and if I get post-infinite, everything else should hum till then. Magda is there's a couple of different pieces that let you win the game, but they also do something before you win the game. So that's what I always consider in my head. Does this do anything? It's a win condition. Does it do me anything? Cool. Nexus? Cool. It actually does do you something because cool, take an extra turn. Cool, draw discard, swing in, do your damage. Did I kill everyone? No, I killed 2 people. Cool. Pass turn. Cool. And then you go again and then swing again at next turn. So it does something post-infinite. Whereas
I get what you're saying now, and that's exactly the way I think, and I'm trying to have that conversation with a lot of people in my Discord. It's people will say things with the Urza deck, $100 Urza, but how does it win the game? It's dude, you make infinite mana and draw your deck. Yeah, but how does it win the game? Dude, that is how it wins the game. I mean, it wins. If you draw your deck and you have infinite mana and you can't figure out a way to win the game, then I don't know, go back to the drawing board, because you shouldn't have to play win conditions outside of that. So I think that's what you're saying. You should be winning the game with cards that work before you're winning the game. Yeah. Yep. I agree 100%.
If all they do is win the game, they're dead. One reason why you don't like playing LED, because it's
yes.
If I'm not doing the thing, what does it do?
Yep.
You can value breach. You can use brain freeze
kind of
minimally. Yeah. They can put something on top of their library and then go to their step to draw, and you're like, nope, that 3 cards gone. Whatever you're gonna grab is not there anymore. It has utility, but certain cards just have no utility at very minimal. So
utility.
It's always that. The other thing that I do a lot when I'm playtesting a new card is I start with it in my opening hand. I draw 6 and I put that card in my hand and say, do I even want this in my opening hand? Sometimes it does good because it's late game, but it's like, if I don't want this in my opening hand, is it better than this other card that I replaced it with? And if the answer is the other card is better, maybe the other card is better, because at least with cEdh, starting the game off is more important on a better scale than having this card that, cool, when I have 20 mana, I can just win the game. It's like, or if I X plus B, but the B is on the bottom of the library, and I have X in hand. It's not good enough.
Yep, no,
so
exactly.
I've definitely tested. So that would be an interesting conversation to have at some point in time. Just the statistics and things like that. Like, what should you? I don't know. I think you're just an absolute wealth of knowledge, and I've honestly enjoyed our time talking.
Oh, likewise, absolutely.
I hope to get some more videos in at some point in time, and maybe some cool subjects of what we can do when we have time, because you have your stuff that's going on, I have my stuff that I'm going on, and I'm so glad that we could find some time to talk to each other.
Yeah, likewise.
Finally.
Likewise. Yeah, finally. It's been in the works for a bit. Well, yeah, man, I really appreciate the conversation. It sounds to me like Malcolm has been calling for you. I mean, you lost to the actual deck you were planning on playing, right? I don't know what the universe has to do. I mean, you're not going to get a letter literally from the universe that says play Malcolm, but
and maybe it will be green. With your help, I think I might be able to take off my training wheels finally and try out something that's outside of my comfort zone. So
right on.
absolutely. Like I said, appreciate it.
Likewise.
We are the Turning Point Meta, and we'll catch you next time.
Until next time, namaste, nerds.